In this video, I'm going to look at the new Annotations interface in PowerMusic AF. This was added in the version that came out in May 22. Before I do that, I just want to show you the annotations in Professional. And this is how the annotations used to look in AF, and I'll show you what the changes were that we made. So here's a piece of music that's been set up for a VI musician in Professional. We go full screen, and then we click the middle of the page of music to bring up the Annotation Toolbar. Now, this is clearly okay for someone with good eyesight, but obviously not suitable for AF. And unfortunately, this was the way that annotations were presented in AF as well. So I'll just come out of here and now go to AF and let you see what we've done there. So we'll close down Professional. And here we have AF already open. And we'll select the same piece of music and display it. Okay, so now to bring up the annotations, or to work with the annotations in this music, again we click the middle of the screen, but now instead of getting a pop-up bar with little icons and things, we've got a nice clear menu here down the left hand side. Now it's the same annotations as in Professional. You've got all the same things. You've got text box and sticky notes and lines and shapes and galleries and so on. I've also got the new go to page jump, which I'll show briefly, but I'm not going to go into all of the annotations in detail here. I just want to show you how you go about using them. If you wanted to highlight something in here, for instance, we can go to highlight and we can choose freehand, broad, and then we can just paint on a highlight wherever we want to do that. The pencil, self-explanatory. You can just draw round notes and marks and so on using the pencil. Text boxes, sticky notes and so on are the same as they were before. Same as the shapes gallery and so on. Rehearsal marks, again, just bring up the grid of rehearsal marks. So let's say the first rehearsal mark is to go down here. So I'll select 1. And I think I'll have it in blue. That's fine. I can change the size of it if I want. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. And then just to drop it in place, I just go and click on there, and that puts Rehearsal Mark 1 onto the piece of music. Okay, close that. The go to page is a very useful thing where you've got repeats and cuts. So if you click on go to page, you can get it to jump to any particular page you want. So let's say we wanted at this point to jump to page 4. Then it puts up a little annotation like this. Again, we can change the size of it, we can change the colour of it and so on. So if we wanted to, let's say from here, we wanted to jump to page 4, just click on there and it puts down the annotation in place. So now, if I close that and save the annotations, there we have our highlight, there we've got our jump, there we've got a rehearsal mark. To show the rehearsal mark is there, if I bring out this, it shows that there's a rehearsal mark. So here is our page of music with the annotations on it. You can see I've drawn the lines around there and I've highlighted that and so on. If I show you how the jump moves, if I click on that, it takes me straight to page 4 of the piece of music, which is quite a good thing when you're doing repeats and cuts and so on. So that's the new interface to annotations in AF, introduced, as I said, in the May 22 edition. It's a free upgrade for anybody who's got AF. Again, just to remind you, to access the annotations, click in the middle of the screen, up comes the menu. If you want to select one of the annotations, let's say you wanted to select highlighting here, and then you can go in here and you can change the colour of the annotation and so on. There is an advanced tab on here. I suggest you don't click on that because it's quite hard to understand what it does. But the properties sheet that comes up here allows you to do things like change the colour of an annotation or change the text font in a text box and so on. That disappears when you click off it like that. The other good thing is now that the annotations are completely compatible between both Professional and AF, so that before there was an issue with annotations not working correctly between the two versions. So now you can create annotations in Professional and view them in AF and vice versa. So that was just a brief look at the new interface for the annotations in PowerMusic AF, and I think you'll agree that these are much easier to use if you're a visually impaired musician. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention, which is a useful feature for VI musicians, and that is the ability to zoom in when you're doing your annotations. So let me bring up the annotation toolbar again. Here we've got zoom up here. We can zoom in and out using just the numbers up here, or we can simply press the plus or minus keys on the keyboard, and then you can pan around the music and go to a particular thing you want to see in detail for the annotation. So that's the zoom feature. Make sure the select tool is active so that you can pan around the screen like this, and then you can add your annotations in the detail.